I've always enjoyed having nice clothes. I don't get obsessive about things must be X label, but if I have the money to splurge on a classic dress from a reputable designer, I'll buy it. My sister is more into collecting hobby items like video games, comic books, paperbacks, etc. She has a lot of those little Funky Pops, etc. I love her apartment. It's filled with so many things. It's like a flea market of geekdom. 8 months ago, she had a medical issue that required a lot of extra attention and work. We all banded together to support her, but she ended up racking up a lot of medical debt, and much worse, nearly died. She's slowly recovering, but will need more care. 4 weeks ago, she let me know that she'll be able to handle her medical debt slowly over time, but said that she was hoping I could help. I told her that I'd definitely help. Then she said that her idea was that we could host a fire sale of my designer clothes and other things and probably cut down a huge chunk of the debt. I didn't realize she was being serious, but she was. There are a few things that are in the queue to be resold to make room for new items anyway, and I had already planned to split some of that money, 70-30, between new items and giving them to her. I'm usually good at estimating what I can get for my clothes, and I was going to have around $7,000 to give. She was hurt and told me that she's my sister. They're just clothes. I asked her then, is she doing the same with her figurines and stuffed toys, comic books, etc.? She got on my case about how she's sick, she's feeling bad, and I'm expecting her to part with the things that make her happy? I told her that no, I don't expect her to, but she can't expect me to just sell my clothes either. She argued that I have more than enough and that I spent thousands of dollars a year, which is true, but not in the way she thinks. I'd maybe start with a $5,000 new money cap, but end up selling $9,000 worth of items, so the amount is closer to $14,000. Anyway, moving on, she got our mom and dad and brother involved, and they're all pushing me to contribute more, saying that I definitely don't need new clothes. I'm not arguing that I do, and like I said, I was planning on giving her money anyway, but she's not even willing to put up her own items into this, and that to me sends a bad message. I feel for my sister, but if she isn't willing to help herself in this situation, I don't think I'm wrong to not dump all of my clothes for her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This is her debt. I'm really glad that she didn't die, but before people beg for money, shouldn't they do everything they can to cover the debt themselves? You are being more than generous, giving her thousands of dollars. She should be grateful instead of demanding, and your parents as well. You are not the idiot. She isn't willing to sell her stuff. Why should you sell yours? I think your sister was pushier than she should have been about this, but the real idiot is a medical system that leaves ill people with astronomical bills. You are not required to give money or sell your things to pay for this debt and shouldn't be guilted into that. Seriously, you are all idiots here. If you could do more to help your sister out, then you should. You only get one, and she's worth more than a dress. However, she shouldn't demand that help either, and if she needs to, she should sell some of her things. She can always replace them when she can afford to again. I hope your sister feels better soon. You are not the idiot. $7,000 is a generous enough donation. I've known people with medical debt. I've never heard of any of them ordering people to sell their clothes as a possibility to cover payment. This is a ridiculous, non-viable idea. Why not ask her parents to sell their house or her neighbors to sell one of their cars? You sell your own stuff to pay off debt, not others. I, 24 male, live in Dallas, and it's been a nightmare because of this winter storm. My family's house had to deal with rolling blackouts for the past few days, but yesterday is the day that it looked like our power was back on for good, which led to my mom inviting our neighbors to stay with us. For whatever reason, their power hasn't been on for the past few days, and my mom invited them to stay with us without even consulting anyone else in the family. These neighbors have 3 kids, one of which is a baby who's only a few months old, and out of nowhere, my mom told me that the baby and its crib were going in my room. This ticked me off, since she didn't even ask how I felt about it, but she wouldn't listen to my protest. She never does. Last night, I was trying to get to sleep, but the stupid baby was being noisy. She wasn't crying. She was just making random baby noises, and I couldn't deal with it. She eventually fell asleep, and so did I, but then she started crying, which woke me up. The parents came in and started consoling the baby back to sleep, but I was still up when the baby woke again and started making more baby noises. I decided to take action of my own. I ended up moving the crib into my sister's room, and when she started crying again, it was definitely better for me. But I heard a bunch of confusion in the hallway. The baby's mom was wondering why the crib was in my sister's room, and I just pretended to be asleep. But my mom slammed my door open and immediately called me out. This led to a giant argument between me and her in the hallway. I was arguing that it's not fair that the baby sleeps in my room, but once again, my mom already decided that she was in the right and that she's not to be questioned. Then the neighbor's other kids woke up, and the entire house was watching me and my mom scream at each other. Things eventually calmed down, and the baby went back in my room. But once she was asleep, I pushed the crib into the bathroom, and she wasn't discovered until this morning when the baby's dad found her in there. Now they're mad at me, but I'm mad at them and my mom. My mom keeps calling me a brat, and the neighbors have already scolded me for what I did. So I retorted by calling them awful parents who want to pawn their baby off to me instead of taking care of her themselves. Now my mom is blaming me for the current tension in the house. Who's the bad guy here? You are the bad guy. You are 24 years old. Your parents do not have to provide a roof over your head. Do you pay rent? Your city is in crisis. Your mom is helping a family with children out so they don't freeze. You can handle a baby in your room for a couple of nights due to an emergency. You are the idiot. You should not have moved their child in the middle of the night without telling anyone. That is terrifying for a parent, for their kid to not be where they think and to not know what happened. Then you doubled down and put the baby in the bathroom? Any sympathy I might have had over lack of sleep is gone. Grab a pillow and a blanket and sleep in the bathroom yourself if it's so bad in your room. You are all idiots here. It's weird that a baby that young would be put in your room instead of putting her crib wherever her parents were sleeping. And practically, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Other than that, you do sound like a royal brat. Your mother is trying to help out and be neighborly in a crisis. It's inconvenient, sure, but if the situation was reversed and your family was without heat for several days, you would be grateful for a neighbor to take you in. My only beef is, why wasn't the baby with the parents? I don't trust a single soul in this earth to have my baby sleep in their room without my presence. My hypothesis, the mom asked OP to give his room up and OP refused. And then mom said, fine, they'll sleep on the couch and floor of living room, but there is no way the baby's crib will fit in the remaining space, and the baby needs to be in a room with a closed door. So baby goes to your room. Only scenario I can cook up that makes sense. I, 21 female, live with my boyfriend, 28, and I recently purchased some new wooden spoons, like the big kind, from a coworker who is an aggressive pampered chef consultant. I don't make very much money, and frankly, these spoons were overpriced, but I wanted her to leave me alone. And after all, they're nice spoons and I will definitely use them. They're hand washed only, which I informed my boyfriend of when I brought them home. It's been a couple of months, and I find them in the dishwasher pretty regularly. Every time I have nicely reminded him that they are hand wash only, and please don't put them in the dishwasher. I have said, you don't need to wash them. Leave them out and I'll wash them. Every time he says okay, but then you know where this is going. I often come home on my lunch break to keep up with the housework. A few days ago, I came home and found one of my wooden spoons in the dishwasher. I texted my boyfriend about it, this time with some emphasis on the fact that I've repeatedly asked him not to put this item in the dishwasher, and it will literally end up destroying the spoon, and I really don't want that to happen to a new utensil I just bought. He replied, I don't care. I was completely taken aback. I expected him to say, okay, sorry, and probably keep doing it, not be completely rude to me. Background, I have always cooked dinner since we moved in together 2 years ago. I was in school and it was like part of how I contributed to the household since I wasn't making very much money, only working part-time. But I'm out of school now, and working more and contributing to the bills, so I don't feel the same obligation to cook. He usually cleans up after dinner by putting things in the dishwasher, but doesn't clean anything else. When he got home after work that night, he asked what we were having for dinner. I told him I'd already eaten. He was extremely upset that I hadn't cooked for him and otherwise arranged dinner. He stomped around the house and eventually got takeout. The next day, he asked me what we were having for dinner. I told him I wasn't planning on making anything. He asked why I wasn't cooking anymore, and I said if he didn't care about whether or not my wooden spoons got destroyed, then I didn't care about cooking dinner. He totally lost it, said I was completely overreacting. It was no reason to stop cooking dinner without warning. Told me I'm being immature and that he's too busy to keep track of what can or can't go in the dishwasher, and it's unfair that I'd punish him for it. It's not his fault he doesn't care about wooden spoons, and insinuated our relationship might be in trouble if this is how I react to conflict. I do feel like maybe this wasn't the most mature route, and I am a lot younger than him, so I'm worried he's right, that I'm being unreasonable and immature. But how hard is it to leave my wooden spoons out for me to wash after being told multiple times that they can't go in the dishwasher? You are not the idiot. He is a grown-up man and not a baby. If you didn't make dinner, he can get his butt up and go make it himself. You're not his maid. Yeah, a grown-up man who moved into a place with his 19-year-old girlfriend when he was 26. I'm thinking the reason he's dating someone so much younger is women his own age would recognize that he's lazy and self-centered. You are not the idiot, OP. Also, what is this nonsense about not being able to remember what can and can't go in the dishwasher? If I'm reading this correctly, loading the dishwasher is his only chore and he can't even do that right? I don't care. This is the man you choose to be with of your own free volition? There is no way this is the first instance of him behaving like this or saying such things. He's nearly 30 and acts like a giant baby. Honestly, you're so young, it's hard to understand how you can waste yourself on such a loser. Also, he was a grown dude running after a school kid. That tells you everything. No one his age will waste their time on him, so he went running after a schoolgirl. You are not wrong, but you're being an idiot to yourself by mommying this loser. My 27 male fiance, 27 female, doesn't really speak to her father, 61, except for birthdays and holidays. She has a close, nearly codependent in my opinion, relationship with her mother, 61. However, I've gotten to know my fiance's father because we play tennis at the same club, and I found my fiance and her siblings' vitriol for him disturbing. I could not imagine feeling that way ever to the people who gave me life. And honestly, during the time I've gotten to know him, I've come to bond with him and feel bad for him. He's in no way young anymore and is suffering from heart problems and issues with his weight. He's estranged from all his kids. My fiance is the oldest of 4 kids, and her parents, who never officially married, split when she was nearly adult. I secretly resented both her parents because my fiance said she felt obligated to support her 3 younger siblings, and the debt she incurred from it was what has been putting off her desire to tie the knot. However, I decided to forgive and have internally made my peace with both of her parents for making her feel that her mom would be destitute if she didn't financially help out. I've been trying to get my fiance to let go of her anger because I'm sick of seeing her just holding a grudge forever. But it's proven to be a frustrating process. My future father-in-law knows he's probably not getting an invitation to the wedding, and my fiance wants her mom to walk her down the aisle. I don't think she knows how much this hurts her dad. Her dad's ex-wife, 34, who I met like 3 years ago when they were still together, is just such an awful human being, but also a Jekyll and Hyde. During their 10-year marriage, she embezzled from his business and caused him to stress eat so much he had a heart attack. She also alienated his kids. Now he's lost his business, his reputation is ruined, and in bad health. Me and him agree that he suffered enough, but when he reached out to try to make amends, wanting to tell my fiance and her mom that he appreciated their love and should have done right by the people who loved him, they continued to rebuff him. I'm sick of seeing this guy so miserable. I knew that my future mother-in-law and sister-in-law were coming over to help my fiancé do alterations on her dress. I deduced that this was as good a time as ever to give my future father-in-law a shot. They were all outside when he pulled up and went to meet them. They all got very fired up. When I asked why they thought he hasn't been punished enough, they said they wanted us both to leave, calling my act a betrayal. Am I the idiot for trying to be the peacemaker? You are the idiot. If you can't respect the boundaries someone has with their family, you shouldn't be marrying them. After the parents split up, father-in-law married a woman who you admit is awful. That's a nasty situation to put 4 kids in, and you have no idea what actually happened during that time that father-in-law and stepmom were together. Your fiancé has her reasons to be low contact with her dad, and you are betraying her by ignoring her wishes. Let's also appreciate that the father-in-law didn't marry the fiancé's mom, but he did marry a woman 7 years older than his daughter. Dude married a 24-year-old when he was 51? Gee, why would she resent this guy? Reading between the lines, he didn't support his children financially for most of their childhood, yet apparently has enough money for a tennis club, had 4 children with a woman he never bothered to marry, and then quickly replaced her with a much younger model. And now he wants to waltz back in and play dad with his adult children so that they can look after him in his old and broke years. You don't get to decide that, OP. You are the idiot. Totally idiot here. Guy is estranged from all of his kids? Look, OP, you've heard his side of the story that no doubt paints him as this amazing guy. And hey, maybe he's been vilified to an extent, but that's not your business or place to rectify. What are you getting out of this drama besides telling your girl and her family that their experiences and boundaries do not matter? Over a month ago, my sister, 33, asked me, 23 male, if I could go pick up my niece from her dad's place, which was a 4 hours drive away. My niece's dad usually brings her back, but his car wasn't working. He was going to leave town the following morning for work, and my sister wasn't going to have time to drive up there and get my niece herself. She gave me $40 for gas and asked if I could do it, so I went. I picked my niece up, and an hour into the drive, we were hit with some bad weather. There was some snow and roads were kind of slippery. The main road was closed down, and I just didn't feel safe driving like that when it was already getting dark. My car didn't have chains or anything because that's not the weather we're used to. Luckily, I found a motel a few miles away where we could stay. Ended up costing close to $120 for the night though. I'm a college student working part-time, and so every dollar counts for me. I told my sister I need to be paid back for the room, and she straight up said no, because to her, if the weather was so bad, then I should have driven back to our ex's and spent the night there. He would have let us too, but we were literally an hour away from him, and I didn't want to drive in that weather. We got into a fight over that, because what else was I supposed to do? Just spend the night freezing in my car? So yeah, she hasn't paid me back, and I haven't talked to her. She's gotten mad at me because sometimes my niece needs to be picked up from school, which I help out with sometimes. But now that I tell her no, she's forced to leave work early to get her. My sister keeps calling me an immature idiot for being this way over something petty when all she's asking for is some help with my niece. I'm told by my dad that I'm really being unfair because I should be doing this for my niece. So I don't know. Am I being the idiot? And by the way, it's not that my sister's broke. She makes good money, but has to work long hours. She just doesn't see that this is something she should have been responsible for paying for. You are not the idiot. She has an ex for a reason. Obviously, she relies on other people to look after the niece. If she really was caring, she'd understand that you made a super mature decision. You got off the road and waited till it was safe. Dude, she should be rewarding you for the maturity you showed, not annoyed. Sounds like she is being petty, not wanting to front you the hotel money, because that seems to be more important than our daughter's life. You are not wrong. She has demonstrated that doing favors for her puts you at risk of incurring substantial expenses of time and money, and she won't make your loss whole, even though it was incurred on her behalf, and she makes more than you do. You literally cannot afford to keep doing her favors. You're not wrong for putting your niece's safety first and ensuring you didn't put her in danger by driving for 3 hours in inclement weather. Your sister is an idiot for refusing to pay you for it, especially if she's not broke, and you being a college student. However, I do think it's a bit petty for you to refuse to help her out with your usual arrangement of helping her with picking your niece up from school if you've agreed to that arrangement, which it sounds like you have. But it sounds like your sister relies on you heavily to assist with her childcare. Maybe she should hire a part-time nanny.